us Sir Vivian Richards, and just like you guys, even I'm really excited to know what he has to talk about cricket and his life. A few days ago you tweeted that you'd completed 44 years since you played your very first international test match. And we all know that that was against India.
Started in 1974. And as you can see, I've aged a bit.
Why don't you take us back in time to the 70s, to that very first match? Is there a memory that's very close to your heart that you never forget?
Well, when he first came to India in 1974, apparently you had some of the best spinners in the world.
Okay.
You had people like Bishan Singh Bedi, who I'm a great admirer. You had people like Irapali Prasanna, who was pretty special, Venkata Raghavan, and Shanja Sekhar. If you notice the comparison then, you had the best spinners in the world. Now you're losing your spinners, and now you're having maybe the best space attack in the world now. So it's a huge change from 1974 to what we have at present. But it was a great experience for me coming to this part of the world, because everyone knew coming to India it was going to be a tough task. It was going to be something that playing the best spinners in the world, you had was to fight. And in those days, it's not like the test matches that you see today. In those days, you had like 80,000 people in one ground. I can remember we played in Calcutta, and we had something like 88,000 people, more people than where I lived at home. So that's very intimidating.
That was in 1974.
That's right.
9 years later, India won its very first World Cup.
Oh my.
And that was obviously against West Indies. And have you ever thought what would have happened if Kapil Dev hadn't got that particular catch? I mean, you've been asked this question many times, but have you ever wanted things to just sort of change, like go back in time and change them?
What I know for sure is that if anyone else who was on that field was going for that catch, I would have stand a chance. But Kapil is just as competitive as Vivian Richards, and to me he was one of the most competitive individuals that I would have played with or against. So Kapil knew what he wanted to get done. He was pretty determined that he was going to take that catch, and he did. But the amazing thing about it, I remember for years after, Kapil, he was dining out on that. He was very much the man until MS Dhoni came, won your first World Cup title. I think that was in Mumbai. And after he did that, then I felt a little bit easier, because I was reminded of what took place in 1983. Now that has been erased, because I guess the Kohlis and the MS Dhonis have done a magnificent job after the Kapils and the Sonny Gavaskars and things like that.
Right. And you visit India quite often, right? So have you ever hung out with Kapil Dev or any of the cricketers from the 80s?
Well, I used to hang out a bit with Ravi. Ravi, I guess seeing him in the position that he is today as head team coach, I'm very excited for him, because he's been a good friend for a number of years. I can remember when I first went to England and played in England for, I think it was a Welsh club, Glamorgan. Ravi, I replaced Ravi. So we have something in common, and in those days he enjoyed the drink the same way I did. Okay. Nothing too harsh, maybe a beer or two. And that used to be very, very, very enjoyable. I used to have some good times. Kapil Dev, Sonny Gavaskar, I've been to Sonny's place numerous times, and Shrikant, he's one of my favorites, So there isn't enough time for you not to mention all these guys, that you would have met, who would have played such a huge part to make your life what it is today.
And that would bring me to my next question, because right now Ravi Shastri is the coach of the team. So who do you like the most? Is it Ravi Shastri, the cricketer, or the commentator, or the coach?
Well, I'm just happy for him overall. I'm just happy for him because Ravi, in his own right, he was a pretty decent cricketer. And what I'm very pleased with is the fact that Ravi, over the years, would have played his part as a commentator. But to see him in the capacity as an Indian director of cricket at this particular stage, I think is a great thing for the game, because you need people with that sort of experience, people who would have played for a period of time. And some of these younger players coming up today, they do look up to people like Ravi, what they would have achieved in the past. They bring a whole lot, I think, to the game. So I think that's a great choice, in my opinion, the BCCEI, what the decision that they made then.
And many times you've said that how much you admire Kohli's cricketing style. And before him, we had MS Dhoni as our captain, and
that's a serious comparison, isn't it? Mr. Cool, and sometimes
exactly.
a guy who a little bit more aggressive. And
yeah. So who would you prefer? What sort of style would you prefer?
The latter, the aggression.
Really? Why is that?
Because I've seen Indian players in the past and Indian teams in the past, and they used to take a lot of stick. Yeah. In terms of the verbal abuse, and everyone felt that with the Indian culture, we wasn't going to fight back. We're going to turn the cheek, and if you get slapped on this cheek, you're going to turn the other cheek. How many cheeks do you have? So at some point, if you put a rat into a corner, and there's nowhere else for that rat to run to go, he's going to come at you. And I guess Kohli is just basically doing the things, and if you're good enough, if you're not good enough, you can't do or accomplish the things that he would have done in terms of that aggression, because he backs up his talk, and that to me is pretty positive.
Mm-hmm. Right. And also these days we have the IPL, and we see the trend of how the current West Indies players have been auctioned for really high prices. So and a lot of them have opted to play leagues apart from the mainstream cricket. So do you worry about a situation where a few best players in West Indies, of them not playing for the national team coming up World Cup?
I think something must be worked out, because the IPL is a pretty lucrative sort of environment, mm-hmm. and you have players, who when they first set out, they put their whites on, and they had an opportunity to represent their country. Mm-hmm. They wanted to play for their countries, regardless of whether it's T20 or 50-50 or Test match cricket. They just wanted to play for your country. And with all the various versions of the game that comes in the T20, for some reason, some of the players themselves are basically sidelined playing for their countries and would rather be where the big bucks at this time, So I'm very optimistic about what can be achieved. It's great. Don't get me wrong. I think it's just great for the game that at least cricketers are making some money. It is a great environment, but I think there must be a balance.
Okay.
And if we can find that balance between maybe the West Indies Cricket Board that represents mm-hmm. some of the West Indian players, well, we're going to have maybe the players wanting to play T20 plus representing their countries at whatever level.
So if IPL existed, say 30 or 40 years ago, would you have considered playing it?
Wow, why not? Because I believe, and why I made that particular point, when you look at the best T20 players in the world today, mm-hmm. they are the best Test match players. Yeah. And anyone who is in a disagreement with me can give me a call. The best players in the T20 game today have been the best players where Test match cricket is concerned. Chris Gayle, he's a Test match player. Virat Kohli, he's a Test match player. Stephen Smith, he's a Test match player. You have the guy for AV mm-hmm. de Villiers. Yeah. They all been great Test match players. So I'm just hoping that because of that particular background, that the people who are in establishment may see the value of that side of cricket, which made these guys the best T20 players in the world.
Alright. So now taking a break from cricket, how do you feel like being an education ambassador?
Well, I'm not feel like, I'm just privileged to be in that position. When I was asked to come to this part of the world to be a representative of the American University of Antigua, mm-hmm. Wow, as I said, I'm in a great place. That institution itself, it's in the island which I live, which I think is the most beautiful island on earth. And we are also here to just spread that message to the folks who want to be part of the Manipal and the Manipal education and medical, in that if you want to be in that system, well, we have a facility where, in my opinion, is paradise.
How important do you think is the role of sports in education these days?
There are times where sometimes you get individuals, who are completely involved in sports, and I like the American system itself, where you go to college, you get your degree, and then you can be picked in order for you to be a basketball player, American football, and stuff like that. It plays such a huge role, in the fact that educational, and especially what I'm involved with here today, and while we'll be going around India, is the fact the Manipal group and its medical system, educational system, and I'm just happy to be boasting that we have a facility in Antigua that can help to give you all this educational advancement that one can need in one's life. For them, I myself goes to the doctor, so at least if we can have the more qualified people we have, the better.
These days, what keeps you busy?
Little things like this, that's why we're here today. All part of the Manipal group, the AUA. I'm happy to be busy.
So, when I was having a casual conversation with my parents that I'm going to interview you, both of them got so excited. They're like, wow, Vivian Richards, oh my god. So, I'm sure if they were here with me, they would have come and, taken 100 selfies with you. So, have you had those kind of experience being mobbed in India?
I'll tell you something. When you've been not asked to sign something or to take a selfie, which means you are in the twilight zone of your career. I'm still alive. So I'm excited, I'm very happy to be in the position that I'm in. And as I said, I'm very fortunate, I'm very thankful to be here with Josh, who is our point man, the AUA. It's good people. And I function well around good people. Okay. And I'm just happy to say this and have no bones about saying that I'm very excited.
Right. One last question. So, also I was going through your social media handles. So, you don't seem to be very active on medium like Instagram.
No. I'm a very private guy. No, I'm not into that at all. No. To me, that's people who are looking to be famous. I'd like to think that I've had a foot in that famous lane. People do that for you. And I'm happy, I'm excited when someone comes and says, would you like to take a selfie? I know what they're going to do with it, so it makes me look good. So I'm happy with that.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
It's a pleasure. Good to see you. Okay.